Well, France's President Emmanual Macron has taken other European leaders by surprise by criticising NATO. Now, in an interview with The Economist magazine, Macron said that the alliance was experiencing what he called brain death. Now, he said it was being undermined by a lack of coordination and by the unpredictability of US President Donald Trump. But Chancellor Angela Merkel and the head of NATO Jens Stoltenberg have rejected Macron's remarks.
Part of the Berlin Wall is displayed outside NATO headquarters in Brussels. 30 years after it fell, Jens Stoltenberg is meant to be celebrating the anniversary of the victory over communism. But instead, he's declaring his alliance isn't dead.
NATO is strong, and the United States, North America and Europe, we do more together than we have done for decades.
One of NATO's most important members has spoiled the party in a historic week for the alliance. Emmanuel Macron is calling into question some of NATO's founding principles. In a magazine interview, the French president said the Mutual Defense Pact was in danger of breaking down. He said, "What we are currently experiencing is the brain death of NATO. And you have no coordination whatsoever of strategic decision-making between the United States and its NATO allies." It's last month's events in Syria that have Macron worried. First, the alliance's largest member, the United States, announced a troop pullout without consulting its allies. Then, another alliance member, Turkey, marched into northern Syria, despite the vehement objections of Berlin and Paris. They're worried it threatens European security. But does this all add up to a threat, or just a blip in NATO's history? NATO and Germany insisted in Berlin that the alliance is still alive and well.
Even if we do have problems, and even if we do disagree, from the German perspective, NATO is very much in our interest. It's our security alliance.
For its part, Berlin has been signaling an increased commitment to the alliance. Visiting trainee soldiers, Defense Minister Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer said she's in favor of making NATO's 2% spending mandatory. She, at least, is optimistic about the Western alliance, even as other members question its future.
Well, let's bring in our political correspondent, Thomas Sparrow, who is here in Berlin. Thomas, some stinging remarks from Macron. Is Germany in any position to help put the alliance back on track?
On its own, probably not, but Germany does have political clout and it knows that, and as such, Germany has defended NATO on a range of occasions, and it has also done that now, as you just saw from Angela Merkel herself, stressing how important the alliance is for Germany, how indispensable the alliance is, in fact. And that is something that Germany has repeated and will probably repeat as well when criticism comes towards NATO. Another question altogether, Helena, is whether Germany has the military clout to have any influence, and that is a big question here in Germany, not the least because the German military is facing very serious structural problems.
Certainly, Thomas, and on that point, the German Defence Minister is talking about Germany shouldering more global responsibility when it comes to security, but we are not hearing much from Chancellor Merkel. How much support is there in Germany for strengthening the military?
This is a divisive issue in Germany. It has been a divisive issue for a long time, and in fact there are members in the German government coalition who are very wary of those remarks by the German Defence Minister, who stress that Germany's role internationally should, for example, be as part of the United Nations or as part of NATO, as we've been discussing, and that above all, Germany should at least discuss its priorities with other countries as well. There are also other politicians who have stressed that Germany's military role should not be increased, that Germany's role internationally should increase in other areas, for example, development or conflict prevention. Those are areas where some politicians would prefer Germany's role to increase instead of increasing its military defense capabilities.
And now, Thomas, the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Germany. He's taking part in events this week marking the 30th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Now, he delivered a speech in Berlin today. Let's have a listen to what he said, then I want to come back to you.
Our two democracies, the United States and Germany, possess the abundant political and economic capital and the power that can only be garnered by free societies. We have a duty, each of us, to use all we have to defend what was so hard won in 1776, in 1945, and in 1989. And we have to do it together. We do it together because it's not easy, and doing it alone is impossible.
Thomas, clearly conciliatory words there, but can this symbolic visit by the US Secretary of State do anything to patch up what is currently a very strained relationship?
Speech by Mr. Pompeo and the question and answer session that followed revealed exactly the goal behind his visit. On the one hand, to stress the common values that share the United States and Germany, that they have shared also for a very long time, as we just saw in his remarks there. But at the same time, some of the key differences now were made evident. For example, in the issue of trade, that was absolutely evident that the United States and Germany do not see eye to eye there. So on the one hand, you can clearly say that Mr. Pompeo had the intention to show those historic ties between the United States and Germany, but at the same time, you can't hide the fact that the United States and Germany are facing difficulties and that there are many issues where they do not see eye to eye.
Quite a long list indeed, and we know that later today Pompeo will meet German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Defence Minister Karrenbauer in Berlin. How do you expect that to play out?
They will probably have time to discuss all those issues that we've just been mentioning. In particular, the issue of defence will probably be an important topic to be discussed between the different leaders, and in particular the idea of Annegret Kramp-Karrenbauer to increase Germany's military role internationally. Those are all issues that will most likely come up in those meetings. Again, I do expect that there will be some time as well for stressing how important the relationship is between both countries and how both countries share values, even though in this particular time they also have the difficulties that we already mentioned.
Our political correspondent Thomas Sparrow, thank you.